Commander Elias Thorne straightened his uniform as the massive doors to the Vexari High Council chamber parted. After 3 cycles of negotiation, the humans had finally secured this audience with the Empire's leadership. The stakes couldn't be higher. Earth needed the resource rights to the Cygnus asteroid belt, and the Vexari controlled it all. "Remember," Admiral Winters whispered beside him. "No sudden movements. Their neural receptors interpret quick gestures as threats." Elias nodded. 6 years in Xeno-Diplomatic Corps had taught him caution, but nothing had prepared him for the sight that greeted him inside. The Vexari counselors towered on crystalline platforms, their translucent exoskeletons refracting light in hypnotic patterns, but it was the figure at the center dais that caught his breath. Crown Heir Zeloria, her 4 upper appendages adorned with the ceremonial markings of royal authority. Unlike the other Vexari, whose bodies shimmered with pale blue luminescence, Zeloria's form pulsed with deep amethyst light that signified pure bloodline. "The human delegation is recognized," announced the Prime Elder, voice resonating through specialized translators. "Crown Heir Zeloria will oversee these proceedings as preparation for her eventual ascension." Zeloria's multifaceted eyes studied Elias with unsettling intensity. "Commander Thorne," she said, her translator rendering her complex harmonic speech into a melodious contralto. "Your reputation precedes you. I understand you once survived direct exposure to Cantharian radiation. Most species would have perished instantly." "Humans are resilient, Your Eminence," Elias replied, maintaining the proper diplomatic distance of 3 stride lengths. The negotiations proceeded methodically until a commotion erupted outside the chamber. Security alarms wailed and Vexari guards rushed to form protective positions around the royal heir. "Dissident attack," shouted the security chief as the lights flickered. In the chaos, Elias's military instincts took over. He spotted the shimmer of a cloaking device near Zeloria's platform and lunged forward, tackling the invisible assailant. As they crashed to the ground, Elias felt searing pain across his abdomen, some kind of energy blade. Zeloria moved with unexpected speed, her Royal Guard training evident as she subdued the attacker with a precise strike. In the struggle, her hand inadvertently brushed against Elias's exposed wound, making direct contact with his bare skin. A serious taboo in Vexari culture. She recoiled in shock, her luminescence flaring bright violet. "Impossible," she whispered, staring at her appendage. "The resonance should have killed you instantly." Their eyes locked, her alien features unreadable to most, but Elias recognized something unmistakable, curiosity mixed with forbidden intrigue. "No creature could endure that," she murmured, unless you're human," Elias finished, grimacing through pain but holding her gaze. That moment, witnessed by the entire council, would change everything. 3 weeks after the diplomatic summit concluded, Elias found himself restlessly pacing the cramped quarters of the human settlement on Nexus Station. The wound across his abdomen had healed to a jagged pink scar, remarkably fast, the medics had noted, even for a human. His comlink chimed with an encrypted signal, the Royal Vexari insignia flashing on the display. His heart raced. Since that moment in the council chamber, he'd had no contact with Zeloria, though her violet eyes haunted his dreams. "Commander Thorne," came the voice of Korvax, Zeloria's chief security officer. "Your presence is required at the Imperial Spire. A transport awaits at Docking Bay 7. Come alone." Before he could respond, the transmission ended. Protocol demanded he inform Admiral Winters, but something, intuition perhaps, compelled him to keep this summons private. The royal transport whisked him through the crystalline megastructures of the Vexari capital. Guards escorted him not to the formal audience chamber, but to Zeloria's private quarters in the upper spire, a space no human had ever entered. Zeloria stood by a panoramic viewport, her exoskeleton pulsing with erratic bursts of color that betrayed agitation. She dismissed her attendants with a sharp gesture. "I trusted you would come," she said, turning to face him. Her normally controlled movements seemed unsteady. "Your Eminence." Elias bowed slightly, I'm honored by your... Do not speak. Her voice rang with authority and something else. Fear. What you did to me. It was not supposed to be possible. Elias frowned. The incident in the council chamber was an accident. If I violated some cultural... Not that, she interrupted, moving closer. In the private chamber, her translator was deactivated, and she spoke in carefully practiced human English. When my appendage touched your wound, a transfer occurred. She raised her upper limb, showing him a strange bioluminescent pattern pulsing beneath her exoskeleton. I don't understand, Elias admitted. My physicians confirmed it yesterday. There is a life formation growing within my gestation chamber, a hybrid life. Your genetic material survived contact with mine. The implications hit Elias like a gravitational hammer. That's biologically impossible. Our species aren't compatible. And yet it has happened. Her luminescence flared with indignation. Do you understand what this means? I am crown heir to the Vexari Empire. Our bloodline has remained pure for 10,000 cycles. Now I carry, she struggled for words, a half-human offspring. Elias stepped forward instinctively, then checked himself. Zeloria, I had no idea this could happen. What can I do? The High Council cannot know. Not yet. It would destabilize the entire succession. Some would demand I terminate the formation immediately. And what do you want? Elias asked softly. Her multiple eyes fixed on him, the alien features impossible to read. I want to understand how this happened. Why you, a simple human, could alter the course of an empire with a single touch. She moved closer, her exoskeleton now pulsing with that deep violet he remembered. The physicians say the formation is strong, stronger than pure Vexari offspring at this stage. It carries your resilience. Elias felt a strange pride mingled with terror. What happens now? Now? Zeloria said, her voice suddenly hard. You will explain why human genetic material could breach our biological barriers when we believed it impossible, and then you will help me decide the fate of two worlds, because this offspring will forever bind our species together. Her appendage reached out, hovering near his healed wound. No creature should have survived that touch. Unless they were meant to change us forever. I'm leaving, Zeloria. It's the only logical solution. Elias stood in the private botanical sanctuary of the Imperial Spire, surrounded by exotic flora collected from across the galaxy. The air hung heavy with alien perfumes and tension. 2 Vexari lunar cycles had passed since Zeloria had revealed. Her pregnancy and their clandestine meetings had grown increasingly strained. Explain your logic, human, Zeloria demanded, her exoskeleton pulsing with dangerous crimson flashes. Her pregnancy had advanced more rapidly than either had anticipated, the slight swelling of her abdominal chamber now visible beneath her ceremonial robes. Your High Council is growing suspicious. I've heard the whispers, seen the way your own guards look at you. If I return to the human settlement, officially request reassignment, the scrutiny will shift away from you. Elias ran his hand through his dark hair, exhaustion evident in the shadows beneath his eyes. You could claim the pregnancy as a rare spontaneous evolution, something unprecedented but purely Vexari. A convenient lie, she hissed, moving toward him with uncharacteristic emotion. Would you so easily abandon your responsibility, trying to protect you? Elias's voice rose before he caught himself. Your position, your safety. My safety is not your concern, Commander Thorne. Her formal use of his title stung. You humans, always believing you understand what others need better than they do themselves. Elias turned away, staring at a floating crystal orchid from Saturn's moons. The diplomatic mission concludes tomorrow. I've already requested transport back to Earth. The silence that followed was deafening. When he finally turned back, Zeloria stood directly behind him, so close he could feel the electric hum of her bioluminescence. You believe distance will sever what has formed between us? Her voice had dropped to a dangerous whisper. That you can simply walk away from this life we've created? There is no we, Zeloria. There can't be. Our worlds, her movement was lightning fast. Before Elias could react, her upper appendages locked around his wrists, not painfully but with immovable authority. The lower set hovered near his healed wound, the site of their first contact. "You misunderstand, Elias Thorne," she said, using his first name for the first time. "This is not a negotiation." Their proximity triggered the neural receptors in her exoskeleton, causing waves of deep violet to pulse across her form. In the privacy of the sanctuary, away from judging eyes, her royal composure cracked. "I face disgrace, possibly exile. My family line spans thousands of years of Vexari history. Yet here I stand, transformed by a momentary touch from a species we considered barely sentient a century ago." Her multifaceted eyes gleamed with complex emotion. "Do you understand what that means? Everything I believed about my place in the universe has been undone." Elias felt her grip loosen slightly, but didn't pull away. "I'm sorry. I never wanted—" "What you want is irrelevant now," Zeloria interrupted. "What matters is what you'll do. This offspring will be neither fully Vexari nor human. It will belong nowhere, unless we create a place for it." With surprising gentleness, she guided his hand to rest against her abdominal chamber. Through the thin, ceremonial fabric, he felt a faint but distinct pulse, stronger, more rapid than a Vexari heartbeat, yet different from a human's. "Feel that? It carries your resilience, your adaptability. The physicians say its cellular structure is unlike anything they've ever seen." Her voice softened. "I have not decided if this is punishment or gift, but I know I cannot face it alone." Elias looked into her alien eyes and saw something transcending species: vulnerability, fear, and stubborn determination. "My transport leaves at dawn," he said quietly. "No," she replied simply. "It doesn't." And in that moment, Elias knew his fate was sealed. Not by royal decree, but by something far more powerful growing between them. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Vexari Empire buzzed with agitated luminescence as nobles from 17 star systems gathered for an unprecedented announcement. Rumors had spread across the crystalline spires of the capital for weeks. Whispers of the crown heir's mysterious seclusion, of strange human physicians seen entering the imperial spire, of genetic anomalies that threatened centuries of carefully maintained bloodlines. Elias stood in the shadows behind the royal dais, technically a diplomatic advisor, but in reality, a prisoner of circumstance. His official reassignment had been delayed indefinitely through Zeloria's influence. The admiral had been furious, but powerless against royal Vexari commands. "They will call for my abdication," Zeloria said, her voice uncharacteristically tense, as attendants adjusted her ceremonial robes to conceal her now prominent gestation chamber. "Elder Thalax has already gathered support from the outer colonies." "And if they do?" Elias asked, careful to maintain formal distance in the presence of her attendants. "Then the succession crisis could fracture the empire." Her exoskeleton pulsed. With deep blue, concern Elias had learned to interpret. "Civil war has not touched our people in 7 generations, but this could ignite one." Before Elias could respond, Prime Minister Volrax entered the preparation chamber, his ancient exoskeleton muted with age. "It is time, Your Eminence. The assembly awaits." As Zeloria moved toward the entrance, she paused beside Elias. "Whatever happens, remember your promise." He nodded slightly. Their secret contingency plan, escape routes mapped to neutral territory should the assembly turn hostile, remained unspoken but understood. The assembly fell silent as Zeloria emerged, her royal guards forming a protective formation around her. Elias followed several paces behind, acutely aware of the hostile glares from Vexari nobles. "Esteemed members of the assembly," Zeloria began, her translator projecting her harmonics across the vast chamber, "I come before you carrying news that will reshape our understanding of life in this galaxy." The declaration that followed sent shockwaves through the gathered dignitaries. Zeloria revealed her pregnancy with calculated precision, framing it as an evolutionary miracle rather than a scandal, proof of the adaptability of the royal bloodline rather than its contamination. The human Commander Thorne's genetic material has proven compatible with our own, something our scientists believed impossible, she explained, her voice steady despite the gasps and flashing colors of outrage among the assembly. This hybrid offspring represents not a dilution of our greatness, but an expansion of our potential. Elder Thalax rose from his crystalline seat, his exoskeleton flashing angry crimson. This abomination threatens the purity that has sustained our empire. The crown heir has betrayed her sacred duty to maintain our genetic sovereignty. Supporters and opponents erupted in harmonic arguments, the chamber filling with discordant colors and sounds. Through it all, Zeloria remained unnaturally still, a technique Elias recognized as her method of maintaining control when overwhelmed. When the chaos reached its peak, she raised all 4 of her upper appendages, a royal gesture demanding absolute silence. "I have not finished," she said, her voice cutting through the discord. "As is my right as crown heir, I invoke the ancient statute of biological adaptation." Even Elias had not anticipated this move. The statute, nearly forgotten in modern Vexari law, allowed the royal bloodline to incorporate beneficial genetic traits from conquered species, a remnant from the Empire's more aggressive expansion era. The human's genetic resilience strengthens our line in ways we have yet to fully comprehend. This is not contamination, it is evolution. As murmurs spread through the assembly, Zeloria turned slightly, her secondary eyes meeting Elias's gaze. In that moment he realized the political genius of her strategy. She had transformed their forbidden connection into a calculated royal decision, their accidental offspring into a deliberate strengthening of the empire. Furthermore, she continued, I name Commander Elias Thorne as royal consort and genetic contributor to the imperial line, with all protections and obligations therein. The assembly erupted again, but Elias barely heard them. Royal consort. The title carried weight he couldn't begin to comprehend or escape. Later, in the privacy of her chambers, Zeloria finally allowed her composure to crack. It buys us time, she admitted, her exoskeleton dulling with exhaustion. But Thalax will not surrender so easily. Elias approached her cautiously. You've tied my fate to yours completely now. Yes, she acknowledged without apology. Our burden is now shared equally. As if responding to their voices, a strong movement rippled across her gestation chamber. Both fell silent, watching the visible evidence of the life growing between them, a life that carried the weight of 2 worlds on its unformed shoulders. The birthing chamber within the imperial spire had been prepared according to both Vexari tradition and human medical protocols, a hybrid approach for a hybrid child. Crystal resonators hummed at frequencies calculated to soothe both species. Nervous systems, while specialized medical equipment from Earth, monitored vital signs no Vexari physician fully understood. Elias paced the outer chamber, his newly granted royal garments feeling foreign against his skin. 3 lunar cycles had passed since the Grand Assembly, months filled with assassination attempts, political maneuvering, and moments of unexpected tenderness between himself and Zeloria. Commander, Dr. Mira Okafor, the human xenobiologist who had been granted special permission to oversee the birth, emerged from the inner chamber. It's time. She's asking for you. Inside, Zeloria reclined on a crystalline birthing platform, her exoskeleton pulsing with intense colors that shifted between pain response red and anticipatory gold. 4 Vexari royal midwives hovered nearby, their confusion at the unprecedented birthing process evident in their erratic movements. Elias, Zeloria's voice carried none of its usual imperial authority. The offspring comes. Its energy signature is chaotic. He moved to her side, ignoring the disapproving clicks from the midwives. In the privacy of recent weeks, they had developed their own language of touch, a communication that transcended the barriers between their species. I'm here, he said simply, placing his hand where she guided it. The movement beneath her translucent birthing membrane was vigorous, almost violent. The royal physicians fear the hybrid nature makes the birth dangerous, she admitted, her secondary eyes closing briefly in pain. They say its human aspects fight against the natural Vexari emergence process. Dr. Okafor approached, scanner in hand. The fetal heartbeat shows a pattern I've never seen before. It's alternating between human and Vexari rhythms, adapting moment by moment. A sudden contraction seized Zeloria, her exoskeleton flaring with brilliant light that momentarily blinded everyone in the chamber. When Elias could see again, he found her clutching his arm with unexpected strength. "If I do not survive this," she whispered in English without her translator, "promise me you will protect our offspring from those who would destroy it." Before he could respond, the birthing process accelerated with an intensity that surprised even the ancient midwives. The chamber filled with harmonics as Zeloria's body prepared to deliver the first human Vexari hybrid in galactic history. What followed tested the boundaries of both species' medical knowledge. For hours, Zeloria fought through a birth that followed neither human nor Vexari patterns. Twice her life signs faltered, sending the chamber into panic until her remarkable biology stabilized. When the offspring finally emerged, silence fell across the chamber. The child possessed a translucent exoskeleton like its Vexari heritage, but underneath lay distinctly human features. Its eyes, 3 of them, blinked with curious intelligence. Most striking was the soft bioluminescence pulsing beneath its skin, shifting between human flesh tones and Vexari chromatic patterns. "Magnificent," Dr. Okafor whispered, breaking protocol. "A perfect genetic bridge." Zeloria's appendages reached for the child with trembling motion. When Elias helped place the infant against her, the connection was immediate. The child's luminescence synchronized perfectly with its mother's, creating a harmonic pattern never before witnessed. "Bring Elder Thalax," Zeloria commanded suddenly, her voice regaining its imperial strength. Elias stiffened. "Zeloria, he's your strongest opponent. This moment of vulnerability is precisely when he must see," she finished. "Bring him in the opposition council." Within the hour, the leaders of the anti-hybrid faction stood awkwardly in the birthing chamber, their exoskeletons betraying their discomfort with muted colors. Zeloria sat upright now, the child cradled in her primary appendages. "Behold, Elder Thalax, the future of our empire." The ancient Vexari approached cautiously, his sensor appendages extended to assess the child from a distance. The infant, as if sensing the examination, turned toward him and emitted a soft harmonic that perfectly matched the elder's own resonance frequency. A feat impossible for most adult Vexari. "Impossible," Thalax whispered, his resistance visibly wavering. "No," Zeloria corrected. "Evolutionary. This child carries the adaptive resilience of humanity with the psychic resonance of our people, a perfect bridge between stars." As if to demonstrate, the child's exoskeleton briefly turned transparent, revealing a perfect human heart beating, alongside the Vexari neural cluster, 2 life systems functioning in harmony. Later, when the political delegations had departed and promises of tentative acceptance had been secured, Elias sat beside Zeloria as she rested with their child. "What shall we name this bridge between our worlds?" he asked softly. Zeloria's luminescence pulsed with a new color, one he had never seen before, a shade between contentment and pride. "In our tongue, thallium, one who transforms barriers into pathways." The child stirred, its tiny hand reaching up with 5 perfect fingers to touch Elias's face, while its exoskeletal appendages remained connected to its mother. "You were right, that day in the council chamber," Elias said, watching their creation with wonder. "No creature could endure that touch unless they were meant to change everything." Zeloria finished, her alien features softening into an expression that transcended species, love in its most universal form. Outside the spire, delegations from 17 worlds prepared for a naming ceremony that would formally recognize the first human Vexari heir, a living testament to the unexpected power of connection across the stars.